Welcome to Behind Life Struggles, episode 9. I'm your host, Nosy. I'd like to welcome my co-host, Lynx. How you doing?
Boop, boop, boop. I'm always in the place. You know how it does. Nice to see you two's beautiful faces.
And I'd like to welcome my guest, Shayla. How you doing?
Everyone, I'm doing well. Just finished work.
On time as usual?
Pardon?
I said on time as usual.
Listen, I've been on time every single week, you know. I don't know what's going on with everyone else. It's bad.
Okay. So we're going to go straight into it. We're going to go into our current affairs. I've just got one brief topic that I would like us to discuss. I'm sure all of you saw in the, I'm not sure about the news, but on social media regarding the Haitians at the border in America. Did you guys see it? You did see that?
It's horrible.
No.
It's horrific.
Okay, so what happened was there was a border control officer who was on a horse, and he's got a whip, and apparently the sentence is, I can't imagine what context would make it appropriate. So why did you say it?
Who said it?
So this was a US government official.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. But we're used to it by now, innit? We're used to it by now.
Because usually, you know, when things happen abroad, you know, the UK government comment. Do you notice that whenever it comes to sort of racial issues, the UK government says nothing?
I think that's the smart move to do, because if they open their mouth, someone here is going to call them a hypocrite. So you might as well just keep your mouth shut. Like, do you remember recently the UK government had that paper issued which found out that the UK isn't racist? Did you see that? Yeah, and I was like,
nonsense, yes.
yeah, I'm like, okay. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know why I thought anything was going to be said differently anyway. It's all in my head. I just imagine it. Like, okay. Like, whatever. There's no racism over here, so whatever.
I mean, bear in mind, remember, everybody was all going on about Biden. Yes, Biden's going to change things, you know. Biden's going to be miles better than the previous president. And
He's been a shambles.
Exactly. I haven't heard him comment about it at all. He just kept quiet about it.
Nothing.
He's doing the same thing Trump's doing as well. Like, if a woman questions him and he doesn't like it, he just walks off. And I've seen Biden do it a number of times. I'm like, why doesn't the press report on it the same way they were doing with Trump? Like, because when someone says something he doesn't like, particularly a woman, he talks down to them and then he just walks off. And I'm like, if that was Trump, it would be all over the place. But because it's him,
Yeah. I think that leads back to our previous episode. Is it politics or politricks?
Yeah, that's that stuff there. Because even my girl and I were talking about after the episode, and she was bringing up a load of stuff that I just forgot to mention. And I'm like, yeah, like all of that. Like, all of that. So,
Very, very disheartening, especially in 2021. We keep on having the same conversations, you know.
Yeah.
But the fact that we keep having the same conversations, it shows you nothing's been done, isn't it?
Yeah, nothing's changing.
You got to think to yourself, you know, is this on purpose? Because if that was, I guarantee you, if that was another race, that wouldn't happen. Do
either of you two watch South Park?
I love South Park.
There's an episode called To Jesse Jackson with Love. Have you seen it?
I don't know if I've seen it. I don't really pay attention to the titles. I just watch.
The episode starts here with the dad playing Wheel of Fortune in it. So you know you have letters. You have some letters you can see, and you've got to say what letters you want, right? Yeah. And it's got N space GGERS, yeah? N space GGERS. And the topic is, bro, people that annoy you, right? Yeah. And the dad's white, innit? And all the black people in the audience are looking like this now, yeah? Even the cameraman who's working the camera looks behind the camera like this, innit? Yeah. And he goes, I think I know what it is, but I don't think I should say it. And then you can hear the clock ticking down, yeah? And he's like, okay, I want to say it. And they're like, go for it. And he goes, and he says it in it. Niggers, like. And then everyone's quiet, yeah? And he goes, eh. The woman now turns around the letter and it's an A, naggers, yeah? Bruv. Because he said on TV, because he said, and everyone's like, they said people that annoy you, and that's what you said, yeah?
Yeah.
So whenever someone sees him now, he goes to a comedy club, and a black guy's doing a routine, he goes, hey, you're that N-word guy. He actually says it, innit? Yeah? And whenever someone sees him, they're like, oh my gosh, you're that N-word guy, the guy that said the N-word on TV.
Yeah.
He's so offended by it, bro, that he goes to Congress, yeah, and says that black people keep calling him the N-word guy, yeah? So Congress get it banned. So you can only say the N-word without the word guy on the end when talking to a white person. And then the white people in South Park say, you have no idea how hurtful it is to be called by a word that refers to a painful chapter in your history. They say that to the black people, innit? And all the black people are like, bro, they're so smart with it. Like, they're so smart with it, the way they do it. I was in tears, innit? Like, you have to watch it.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you have to watch it. So Jesse Jackson with love. Watch that episode. You will die with laughter.
Oh my day.
That's funny though, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I know. They push the boat, man.
Okay. So I think that's going to lead nicely onto our main topic, which is taboos. So I will start off. Now, as you said, using that N-word, as we know, that is a taboo where no one likes to say that word, even when it comes to teaching in schools or okay, well, yes, we know that there's been a few incidents recently regarding teachers, but generally, everybody sort of avoids saying that word, except for when it comes to this new variation of the word that rappers use. Now, do you think that we should be using that word? Period. My nigga to their friends. So it's the Nigga, not the other spelling.
I think, that the word, you know what, it's funny because I personally think that the word shouldn't be used in any form or context at all, right? But it's funny because it doesn't mean what people are not using it, or black people are not using it in terms of how it was used. But then does that make it okay? I don't know, but I feel like it's the culture that we're in at the minute. Like, it's the culture. Like, it's even more of a thing now. Like, people will be like, like you said, my nigga. Like, if I say it now, I'm not saying, it doesn't sound, I'm not being, it doesn't sound like I'm being rude or offensive, because I'm like, my nigga means my close friend, Or if I say, that nigga, that guy, if I talk to my friend like, that nigga, they're basically saying that stupid boy. Like, it's used for different things now, but it's not saying that it's okay. I want to say it's okay. Maybe it's something that we've allowed ourselves to come accustomed to that we shouldn't. Because my thing is, we're using that as in a different term, but then wouldn't that make the white people that are racist laugh at us and think you're so stupid, like you're dumb? That's why we call you, that word. So it's like, and then it kind of gives it, even though, like in songs, for instance, like there's a song called Niggas in Paris, but with Kanye and Jay-Z. It's like, okay, so you're going to make a song where you're worldwide and people are fans of you. You have black and white fans, Asian, all sorts. And when you're doing concerts and you're singing your song, Niggas in Paris, it's like, you'll be saying, don't say it, but I'm saying it, and all the black people around you are going to be saying it, but don't say it. But it's just like, what is it's I don't know.
So Links, what do you think about Shayla's comments?
I agree with her. Like, I used to use it in my music like all the time, and I realized I was just being lazy. It's a really easy word to rhyme because it's like 2 to 3 syllables, isn't it? So it just rolls off the tongue and it allows you to connect to another word when rhyming easily. I stopped using it some years ago So if I have to perform a song where I used to say it, I just exchange it for the word brother. And the reason why I stopped using it was because I was out with my friends and I had someone who had heard one of my songs run up to me, a white guy, and you could see he had learning difficulties or something, and he started quoting the lyric of mine in it, like like just to impress me in it. Oh my gosh, look who it is! Could it really be that? Like, and he went on in it, and my boys wanted to attack him in it. Like they went for him, and I'm like, no, like this is my fault. Like he's just showing me that he likes my music in it.
Yeah.
And after that, I just stopped using it. Like it's not a term of endearment. As you said, as Shayla said, like the white people who do use it, or anyone who uses it as a racist term, sees us using it, and they're thinking, "What are these people doing?" Like it looks so cringy. I especially hate when I see Americans using it, or Puerto Ricans or South Americans using it.
I was just gonna say that.
Yeah, because you don't want to be associated as a black person, but you feel you can still use the word and then whitebait when it suits you. Like, yeah, when I see like a Puerto Rican or someone using it, I'm like, oh, so now you want to identify as like, but so yeah, it just gets my back up. I don't know. I now don't use it.
I don't know if you've seen Love and Hip Hop, Miami. There was the girl on there. She's got bleached blonde hair, like she's Puerto Rican. She's got bleached blonde hair, and she's a rapper, and artist, rapper, singer, whatever. And I mean, there's a black girl on there, and she's Cuban, but she's very dark. But obviously, they're kind of, I think they're Puerto Rican, no, or Cuban, I don't know. But she's Cuban,
yeah.
Or something. She was saying like she's not black. Like some people were saying like you're not. No, they were saying to her that you're not what you're saying you are, innit? Because you're black. Like clearly you're black. Like you're not. But then the other white girl was like, she would use words like on the reunion show. They were saying you keep using words, saying nigger in your songs, and people in the audience saying that's wrong. You shouldn't be saying it. And everyone was like, and the person said, what do you what do you think towards people that are telling you to stop using the word nigger? And she said that she's Puerto Rican. She said, I am a nigger. Where I'm from, I'm a nigger. I was born in Miami, the hood. I was in the hood with all the black people, so I class myself as a nigger. I could not believe it. And then they were like, so what color are you then? She's like, me? I'm black. I'm telling you, this girl has no black in her whatsoever, but she's a white Puerto. She was like, I'm black. I'm a nigger. I'm black. And they were like, how black? She's like, I'm very black. I'm black. And I was just thought, because it suits you, because the line that you've chosen to go down in life and be a rapper, and people you try to, now you're associating yourself with more, you now believe you're one of them. Like I know a lot of people that even say it to me that they're black, and they ain't black.
Yeah, I know where the history of that comes from, because obviously Puerto Rico, Cuba, and all those places, they were also brought there as slaves, innit?
Yeah.
My problem is, you see, you said she's saying she's black, yeah? Cool, she might be the one that truly identifies as black, but what I've realized with a lot of people from those regions is they don't like associate it with someone says they're black, they're like, no, like we're not. But then they still drop the N-bombs and everything and use, oh, I'm black when it suits them, innit? Like, but any other time when there's a black cause or a black fight, they're not standing.
That's what they were saying to her.
Yeah.
Like, anytime there's a black cause, you're not supporting it, but then you're black.
Yep. And that's why I'm just like, especially with that part of the world, I'm just like, oh man. Because at least Brazilians, like, will probably more or less full time say they're black, and they will stand up for black causes and everything else. Like the Brazilian president has done it, and I've seen them do it so many times. But the other countries, I'm just like, nah, man. You want to have your cake and eat it too.
Back in the days, on the UK adverts, you hardly ever see any black people. Whereas now, if you notice, you tend to see a lot more mixed race people. It's very rare that you see full black people. So what's your thoughts on that? Because, it's great. Yes, they are starting to show, some black people, but it's like they try to move away from the darker complexion black people.
I
mean, go on.
I know. Like I say, I was same thing you said. I was thinking that today, just watching TV. I was watching programs on TV, and I was thinking that even before I even saw the episode, I think it was on Channel 4. There's a show called Something in the Jungle. I don't know, they're doing the Comedians in the Jungle or something. But I was listening to it in my AirPods, and before I looked at the show, I said to myself, I know there's one black person in there. I just knew. As soon as I look on the TV, there's one black person and a bunch, they're incorporating black people. What they will do is they'll put probably like, you know, a bunch of white people, then they'll add in maybe one black person, 2 mixed race, and then they'll put an Asian in there, whether it be Indian or like, you know, Chinese or Thai. That's what they'll do. And they're trying, I feel like, I like that they're doing it, to be honest. I think they should be doing it. I think it should be a thing where it should have been done ages ago. But what I don't like is when, like, you know, stuff like Love Island, where they make the person have to be a very, very dark black girl, very, very dark man, and then one mixed race person, and then that's it. And then all of the rest of them will all be white. All 8 of them will be white, but then they just put the specs in there just make sure they covered the spectrum. No.
Yeah, do you know what? Growing up, it never bothered me. I have noticed that they are on TV more now in adverts. But then when they did put a dark family on with the Sainsbury's advert, as we all saw the uproar with people complaining about that over Christmas, I'm not going to Sainsbury's no more. I'm boycotting Sainsbury's. And I'm thinking, raw.
You know.
What, did you don't think black people shop at Sainsbury's or celebrate Christmas? I didn't understand the response. Like, so, you know what was mad? At the same time last year, Lidl had a carrot. Talking carrot. No one was complaining. Like, no uproar about the carrot and that, but the black people caused uproar. Bro, again, I was saying this the other day, like, it doesn't bother me. It bothers me is when you try to shoehorn in a certain demographic there, like whether it be a gay person or a black person, or I can clearly, or you shoehorn in a woman, like, that bothers me. Like, but growing up, I didn't notice that certain things were lacking black people. I noticed it in films because I told you guys this before. I grew up through films, innit? So when I would watch like Cleopatra with Elizabeth Taylor, and she's meant to be like Nefertiti, and she's white as the aces, like she's white as they come, in it. And I'm like, wait, she's meant to be Egyptian, like.
Yeah.
And then I watched Gods of Egypt, which is a recent film, Gods of Egypt. And it's got Gerard Butler and the other guy who, again, white. And I'm just like, Gods of Egypt, and you guys are white. Like, what are you trying to do? Yeah. And even the Mummy film with Brendan Fraser, again, the Mummy, and you lot are white. Like, what's going on? So
it's crazy.
Yeah. So that stuff bothered me because I went through life thinking that that's how they looked. And then as I got older and I realized how they looked, I was like, wait, so what was that film about for 4 hours and a bit? Like, and then you watch the film again and you realize all the black people in the film are the slaves. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So that's what you're doing.
So you are right, because I recall even watching some of these religious movies as a child, all they used to show is Moses as a white man and all the Egyptians as white and the slaves as black people. Even a lot of the patriarchs in some of these children's Bible cartoons, all of the characters were white. And I always wonder, why is everyone white? And even Jesus, they always show him with this white eyes and blue eyes and long hair.
Yeah.
So, you know, even that should make you sort of question and wonder, why have they whitewashed everything? What's your view on that, Shayla? Why do you think they've whitewashed everything?
That was then, though, innit? They whitewashed.
You reckon?
Because that was what now? They're trying to change it up now. Like they're putting like black people in like Disney movies, and they're trying to like, you know, put more black people, involve us in more things. I think then, because obviously there wasn't an uproar that much about it, people just sat back and took it. They didn't really make a noise. But now they're realizing that obviously Black Lives Matter. I think it's more of a thing where the head people might be racist, but they know they can't continue to be that way for the brand. If they want to, because they know that it won't be accepted. Like, you know, some companies that have come out and like when basically decided to be with Black Lives Matter because they knew if they didn't, they might still be racist, but they knew if they didn't, it's going to make people think, oh, wait, so it's that company, you know, they don't want to be a part of the cancelled generation being cancelled. They want to be involved. But
you are aware that this is just a Western issue. So, prime example, on our boys chat, someone posted a a movie where they showed in the Western world, they showed the black characters on the front cover, but then they showed the exact same movie over in Asia, and the black guy was removed from that cover.
Yes, Star Wars and Black Panther, they did that. John Boyega, you have to find John Boyega in the Oriental version of the Star Wars poster. In the front, in the Western one, he's there in the forefront. In the Oriental version, you have to go looking for him. Black Panther in our one, he's got the famous looking down in it, Chadwick Boseman. Yeah. In the Oriental version, the Chinese version, he's wearing the mask and just his eyes are cut out. Same pose, but he's getting the mask in it. Like, I could give you 101 movie posters where they've done that. Like,
do you see? So that's my issue. So a lot of times people look at racism and just think that it's just a US or a Western issue, but it's a bigger issue than just that. And we sort of negate that because
according to the country, though, you can't. It's like, let's say you go to, obviously it's Asia, like. That's how it is in that country. It's Asia. England, I feel like when the country is multicultural, then you can't easily get away with that. But when it's Asia is Asia, Nigeria is Nigeria. When the country is multicultural, I think it's a different thing.
I had the same argument with my friend who is gone.
I'm just saying it's actually acceptable, but it's different. We're a westernized country. They do things differently. They have culture and they have traditions out there. In England, it's different. America is different. I feel like it's a total. I don't know.
Do you agree with that?
No, because I argued with my friend about this because he's Oriental and she was backing it, and I was like, I don't care. Like, what your culture is, wrong is wrong. Like, to treat someone a different way because they look different from you, that to be fundamentally wrong, innit? Like, I'm like, she's Chinese. So I'm like, Chinese people ain't stupid. They're highly intelligent. Like, so they know if they went to anywhere else in the world and were being treated differently because of the color of their skin, they would be the first ones to complain about it. I read some of the reviews for Black Panther in China. They were wildly racist. Like, one review I remember saying, there's too much dark on the screen. Another review said, if I'd known this film was going to contain so many Africans, I wouldn't have watched it. Another review said, I don't know why Disney wanted to make a film about Africans for. Like, could you imagine Shang-Chi's out right now, yeah? The main protagonist is Oriental. Could you imagine a Western country started writing that about Shang-Chi? I can't believe there's so many Oriental people in this film. Why are we watching this? Who wanted to make a film about Chinese people? China, mate, would demand an apology. Like, it would kick off. John Boyega also had a problem because, as you said, Disney were backing Black Lives Matter, yeah? We're all inclusive. And John Boyega was like, wait, didn't you reduce me on the Star Wars poster and then didn't apologize to me? So don't try act like you're all for black people now. Yeah, John Boyega went off on Disney. Like,
it should. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It should. Okay, so, and next Taboo. Why do you think that people are scared to talk about transgender?
That's easy.
Links, go on then.
I'm not going to though because I'm scared, bro. On to you, Shayla. Do your thing with it. No, the reason why is because, like, council culture is so high nowadays. Like, even me talking to you about this, depending on how I word it, I could lose my job. And so people just don't want to talk about it. And I think the problem is we have questions, and it doesn't mean we're transphobic or whatever we may be, but we have questions, and the only way we get answers to those is by asking those questions, right? And I think that now, if you ask the question, people are just like, oh, you're ignorant. No, it's not coming from a place of ignorance. Yeah, I guess it is coming from a place of ignorance. I'm asking you, who's from that community, to enlighten me so I can understand better. But it's like people just want you to wake up, be born into the world, and know everything.
Well, should they do that? Because when it comes to black people, should they wake up and ask you questions, expect you to tell them? No. I feel like if you want to know, you go and research.
There's some things, though, that I think white people should be able to ask black people and get answers to.
Yeah, but still research, though, right?
I've had white people ask me, still research, but I've had white people ask me questions, and I'd rather them ask me than go into the world assuming and I respect them more for asking me, innit? Like, and I can't hate someone for asking me an honest question because they want to learn more about my culture or whatever.
If you want to learn, go and Google. It's free.
Yeah.
Why do you think you'll Google anything else? You'll Google how to get to a certain shop. So Google about someone else's culture and stop being lazy.
So Shayla, you say that, which I agree, but why does that not apply to racism?
Basically, what I'm saying is that they shouldn't have to ask you. They should be able to go to Google on both spectrums. That's what I'm talking about, racism and transgender. Because if I want to know something about transgender, I just go to Google and I find out. So why do you think people feel the need to go on them, ask them, and then offend them in the process of asking them?
And that's the problem, innit? Why would you take offense? Because to go on Google doesn't actually have all the answers. Like, you get one perspective from Google. I could go on Google and write an article right now about trans people and know nothing about trans people. Like, and I'm not the spokesperson. Yeah,
it's from everything.
I just think the art of conversation is like dying. This here is like the last bastion of conversation, because you could hop on Google, think you know everything, and I've had people do this to me, innit? Hop on Google, think they know everything about black culture and that, and then try challenge me from some stuff they've read on Google. Okay. And I've had to check them. I've had to check them so many times.
1 second, Shayla.
Right. Yeah.
1 second, Shayla. So go on, current links.
No, that was it. I was finished. I was finished.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, let's read it right. Yeah. Okay. There's a difference between saying saying, oh, so you got black hair. You got your hair is quite tough, isn't it? I can see it's a bit tough. What do you use for that? Or you could go and be like, oh, I heard that coconut oil. I've seen online that coconut oil can like soften your hair texture. Is that true? There's a difference between that. Not just saying, oh yeah, tell me. I want you to tell me all the time. Go and research. And if you've got questions, ask me like you know the answer, but then still allow me to enlighten you. I just feel like people like to make things hard for themselves. Like, I even got loads of gay friends, right? And I like asking them questions because I really want to know the answer, but I've already researched. But I say to them, but I've heard this, and they'll be like, no, they'll correct me if I'm wrong. But people just like to.
But you still ask them,
people.
Yeah.
So what you're doing is fine, in my opinion, John Nosy.
So, but in reality, there are certain issues where it's out of sight, out of mind. So because it doesn't affect them, they're not bothered about it. So hence why you as a black person may be offended or upset by lots of issues, but for a lot of white people, as these issues don't affect them and morally, they're not bothered about it. So they're not interested in going and researching and finding out about it. So
they shouldn't ask you the question then. That means they shouldn't need to ask you. That's what we're talking about, right? Them asking the questions and asking for you to tell them the answer. If it doesn't affect you and you're oblivious to it, then they won't bother to ask the question. But I'm talking about those people that go to ask the question, but they have they haven't researched behind the process. They haven't thought about, checking up beforehand before they come and ask you the question. Like when people are like in the staff room, that smells like, what is that? Yeah, it's man.
Yeah, but how are you gonna know that from us? Like, that's what
I'm saying.
So
like, I
remember.
That, I don't know, but I just think it's the way you ask people, because
that
I
is important.
People things that might seem difficult for other people to ask, but I ask it in a way because I'm actually very intrigued and I would like to know the answer. But then some people come with some next kind of, like, I was watching The Real Housewives, and then she was saying they were talking about being bullied because she was black. And talking about because she was black in the Jewish community, not accepting black people or something like that. And then the white lady just comes out and goes, well, I was bullied by Jewish people because I was white. But she didn't understand the background. And everybody in the room was telling her, trying to educate her, because she was like, she didn't want to educate herself on it. But I just thought, you know what? Some people are just lost.
Thinking of was I remember someone said something in one of the offices I worked in once, a white girl, and it was to do with black girls covering their hair, right? And I think there was something in the news at the time that a black girl was asked to cover her hair, innit? And then the white girl said, what's the big deal? Why is it such a thing that she's been asked to cover her hair, right? She wouldn't know to Google this, but historically there was a law introduced, the Tingon law, innit, where black women were told they had to cover their hair because white people found Afro hair offensive, innit? You ain't gonna know to Google that. There's a long rabbit hole before you even find that answer, innit? Like, unless you already know what you're looking for. So I had to be the one to tell her. Now she's on the trail. She can now Google the rest, innit? But she was never going to find that answer unless she asked me. Right? She was just going to.
It's down to the way she said it. It's the way she said it. Because she could have said it in a way that didn't, wasn't really, nice.
Ignorance behind how she said it, but at the same time, I'm not gonna jump on her because she didn't know about the thing on law. Like, I know pure black people that didn't know about that law. Like, do you get me? So now you know. Go find out the rest.
Okay, so I'm gonna move to the next taboo. Why do you think parents struggle with speaking to their children about sex?
I'm not a parent, so I don't know, man.
So, did your parents speak to you about sex?
Yeah. But I won't lie. By the time they'd spoken to me, I kind of already knew. Like,
exactly. Okay. What do you class as the appropriate age that a parent should speak to their children about sex?
I'm gonna have to consult my partner who's sitting in the background, and then I'm gonna come back to you on this one. Give me 1 second.
Okay. That's a new one.
This is why you have the woman, see, right? She says, and I agree with her, it all depends on the individual child's maturity, which is right. Which is probably why my mum waited so long with me, because I was mad immature, innit? I'm just there playing Sonic and that, and she don't want to start thinking she's talking to me about, little did she know, I already know. You know what I'm saying? No, you know what I'm saying? She knows what I'm saying. Of course she knows what I'm saying. But I already knew. But to my mum, I'm just there reading comics, watching manga, playing Sonic, like, so she's like, I don't want to have this conversation with my son. When she had the conversation with me, I saw the look on my face was like, she's like, he already knows. So, yeah, I already knew.
Okay, same question to Shayla.
What's the question again?
Why do you think parents struggle with speaking to their children about sex? This has always been a taboo.
Maybe culture comes into play. I don't know. Some parents are different though. I don't really know. I know I wouldn't struggle. Pardon?
I just think that was my question. Would you struggle? But you said no. You just answered it.
I wouldn't struggle. My mum was very open, actually. To me, a bit too open. But I don't know. I think it's probably culture, because like I just know people in African culture, like my friends and stuff. Their parents would never, like, the way they would address it would be totally different. Or they probably wouldn't even address it. It'd be a hard conversation for the parents to even have. Like, even some, like, yeah, like even the men. Like, I know some guys that have kids. They do not want to talk to their children about sex at all. Like, it's something they just don't want to have a conversation about. And they'll put it off as long as possible. And a lot of men are in denial about their kids as well. So
I think that would be me. You know, I don't think I could have that conversation with my kids, especially if I had a daughter. Oh, leave me alone. Well, I just can't do it, man. Even now, you asked me a basic question. I had to ask the lady, like, leave me alone, bro. Like, I just can't do it. I don't know.
I think you have a lot to play.
You're asking pure questions, isn't it? I ain't got the answers. As Shayla said, Google it. No, don't Google it. Don't Google it.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't Google that. Yeah. So, yeah.
So, Shayla, why do you think in the church that they struggle speaking about sex? Because it's like they think that people aren't doing it anyway, on the sly.
Like, I think they should be open. Do you know what? I watched this lady on The Real Housewives of, I watch a lot of this, Salt Lake City. She is a black woman. She's a pastor, and she was talking about the fact that people are not talking about sex in church. And she said she's got a teenage son, and she knows that he's at the stage of not listening to her and not wanting to hear what she has to say. And she knows if she's talking to, like, he's probably doing things or has a girlfriend or whatever. So she was on her podcast saying that she doesn't want to make it a thing where you shouldn't talk about sex, but she's going to make it a thing where if they are doing it, she wants them to do it safely. And that is her thing. And she said that should be a thing in the church, that it should be a thing where if you are doing it, even though they don't want you to, it should be done safely. And I get that. I feel like people I feel like in church they like to, say, obviously tell you not to do it, but they're forgetting these people are young people. They're inquisitive. They want to fight. They want to, explore and whatever. And the more you push them away from it, is the more that they're going to go and do it. So instead of saying, you can tell them what what is right or what you believe is right, but also if they're going to do it, then wouldn't you want to advise them correctly, not just make it out like it's a non-topic a conversation, like you can't talk about it. Like even the adults in church don't want to talk about sex amongst them. They act like it's not even a thing that they all don't have that, but the baby just comes. They don't want to just. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
what's your thoughts, Links?
Same. I was just about to say what Shayla said. It's almost like they think that everyone had an immaculate conception, like the Mother Mary, innit?
Exactly.
Like, how did the baby get here? They're like, oh, I just woke up one day and yeah. So anyway, what you doing for lunch? So yeah, I agree. I fully agree. Like, that's how my mum approached it when I was old enough. If you're gonna do it, make sure you do it safely. I think if I remember correctly, if my sister was here, she would remember. I think my mum got blind drunk to give us the talk, My mum was battered. Yeah. My mum was tiddled, like waved, 3 sheets to the wind. She sat down with the J&D bottle. Like, I've never seen my mum drunk before, innit? But I'm like, why is mum drunk? And then I realised she had to get plastered Dutch courage to give us the talk. Like, yeah, that's what I remember most about that talk. Like, my mum was gutted. Like,
wow.
So yeah.
Okay, so Shayla, again, molestation. Why do you think the church likes to pretend that that doesn't happen in the church and it's not rife in the church? Why do you think that is?
Do you know what? I think that goes in correlation of them not talking about sex. If they spoke about sex and told them what is right and what's wrong, and also expressed to them what shouldn't be happening, that probably wouldn't be such a taboo conversation. Because there are people that are doing it. Because think about it, in church, and you think about the people that go to church as well. Most of them are exactly the same way. Sex is a taboo. Talking about it is, a taboo. So when it's happening, if it's happening to their child in church, no one's gonna know, because guess what? It's a taboo subject, and the child hasn't been taught doesn't really understand what's going on anyway. So it's I feel like that's probably why, and they believe it probably doesn't happen because everybody in church is a God-fearing person, but they're not. They're saints. But yeah, they think they're all saints, But the reality is, there are people out there. Sinners were saved. You're still saved by what's it called?
Grace.
Yeah, by grace. But there's still sinners amongst them. Like I don't get that. But I think that should be a thing that they talk about, because there's people that do the Sunday school touching up kids. Yeah, but they teach. Do you do DBS checks on those teachers that are teaching them Sunday school? Do you? Exactly. But they just think because they're all saints, nobody is going to be doing that. And I feel like even if they did, some people did confess, say to them, this is what's happening to me, they probably wouldn't believe them. Because they're so, they're so warped by the whole, no, everyone is saying, it's just crazy. It's a taboo subject. They wouldn't want to talk about it. Or they try to hush it out of the church, like hush it down. Like, what is that?
What do you think, Links?
I 100% agree with Shayla. Like, if you spoke about it and there was a healthy conversation about it, so you knew what was expected, you would know when something is wrong. But because you don't address it at all, when something like molestation happens to a child within the church, the child doesn't really understand what's going on because you've never had that conversation. So they might think, oh, this is just a part of life. Everyone goes through it. And by the time they realize this shouldn't be happening to them, the damage is done. And then who did they speak to? Because they've never heard anyone within the church speak about it. And whenever they have been taught about it, they've been taught it's a wrong thing. You shouldn't be doing it. So they feel they're to blame and they just feel embarrassed and shy and stay away from it. So yeah, I fully agree with what Shayla said.
Okay. Right. So what's your thoughts on this taboo? Interracial dating. Now, back in the days, dating a black person dating a white person used to be shunned and used to be seen as a seller and so on. Nowadays, that's not so much of an issue. But do you think that interracial dating is still an issue among other races? Links?
Yeah, amongst other races, it blatantly is. Like, I know, me and you've had this conversation before, Nelsie. Like, I know Indian families, that have black friends, right, and will openly say, "Oh, my daughter could bring home a black person, innit? Or my son could bring home a black person, innit? But their kids, if you ask their kids, you get a different response. I could never bring home a black person. My dad would disown me. My mum would disown me, innit? And the day their kid brings home a black person, it happens, innit? The same person who told you they wouldn't have a problem with it, it's all like, it's the worst thing you can do. They bring home a white person, it's not so bad, innit? Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, but bring home a black person, it's like the worst of the worst thing to do, innit? Like, that's the only time I tend to see it more so is in Asian cultures, not so much Oriental cultures. I found Oriental cultures have been, the ones here, westernized Oriental cultures, tend to be quite all right to it. They have their questions and their reservations, but they don't react the way Indian Asians over here react to it. There's none of this disownment. We don't want to know you. You're on the streets. Like, it's them or us. So, yeah. It's wild.
What's your view,
But
Shayla?
there's also no...
Oh, sorry,
Yeah, go on. Now, I was going to say, I also know, like, young... Like, white girls, I've heard this in my last job, who are younger than me, like, the generation below us, who say, yeah, I could never bring home a black guy. My parents told me don't bring home a black guy. Like, so it's still carrying on with white families. Like,
yeah. What's your view, Shayla?
Yeah, it is a problem, I think, with some cultures. I know someone that said to me that she said to me she loves black men, like she loves black men, especially Jamaicans. But she had to break up with her ex who was a Jamaican because her parents said that she cannot be with a black man. And she was from like one of those Caucasian countries. I don't know what they're called, man.
Eastern Bloc?
East. I don't want to say, because she'll debate who she is, but it's like an Eastern European kind of country.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was like how she couldn't, but she was just like she doesn't like anything else but black, and she was even crying because she was just like she really loved her, but she said she couldn't because her mum and her dad would literally like kill her. And I remember I liked her brother. I thought her brother was nice, and she told me she would never, because her mum and her dad would have a heart, like it would be over, like it would be over, like there's no point. And I just thought like that is in itself, isn't that like racist? Like yeah, you all got black friends. But that's a bit racist, no? Like,
that is fully racist.
Of course.
Like,
so I think that this is probably a topic that we should probably discuss in another episode. Unfortunately, we've run out of time because I think there's so many other issues that people don't tend to talk about, which I think that we all need to be honest. Yes, it doesn't mean that it's gonna go away, but at least if you're honest about it and everyone knows exactly where you stand, and then that's how you can help to try to change things. But trying to pretend that there's kumbaya everywhere is just nonsense. So,
I agree.
Okay, so Shayla, do you want to give out your socials?
Yeah, my social is it's her style. It's her .style. I look different, but it's okay. You'll see my pictures on Instagram.
Same for links.
So website is IamLinks, linxx.com, and the Instagram is the Links Effect. So yeah.
Great. Well, both of you, thanks for joining. It's been great as usual. Hopefully, I'll see you again on the next episode. I'll speak to you later.
See you both soon.
Bye.